Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and in this video we're looking at my GMT watch collection. I believe these are all my GMT watches, or World Time, or UTC, whatever you want to call them. They have the ability to track 2 or more time zones. This one, for example, it would be able to track 2 time zones, your local time, and then your home time with that GMT hand. I don't remember the order in which I purchased these watches, so I'll go through them in order of price. We'll talk about that right now. So this watch is $109 on the Pagani Design website. The Van Banner at the time of recording is just under $300. This is offered with the blue and black dial. I was provided this watch, so I'll try to mark this video as a paid promotion. All the other watches I purchased myself. Most of them I have purchased used. These two I purchased new, and everything else I purchased secondhand. So next we go to the Borealis. This is the Seastorm MK2 GMT. This one is $415 from the Borealis website. I believe you can still buy these. This is the Zelos Timekeepers edition of the Zelos Mako GMT. It has the malachite dial. These are sold out, and the price listed on the website is $650. Next we go to the Yema Superman World Time GMT. I don't believe this watch is in production anymore, but it's listed on the website at $829 and out of stock. We go to the Seiko Presage SPB 223. Very good looking watch. The majority of these watches are mechanical, except for this one. This is a quartz, so I might have to give them a shake here to get the second hand going. $1,400 for this, and this is a limited edition. Then we have the Zen 105 UTC, $2,240 from the Watch Buys website. And that does the UTC, but it functions in the same way as a GMT. And this one, since it has a rotating bezel, you can track 3 time zones. Next we have the Grand Seiko SBGN003. This is $3,200. And I believe this is discontinued as well. You may still be able to find it on some websites to purchase new. You can buy them used quite often. I see them all the time. So this is the high accuracy quartz. Is rated to plus minus 10 seconds per year, which is amazing accuracy. It's a very cool watch. And lastly, we have the Grand Seiko SBGM 221. Price for this is $4,600. Mechanical GMT. You have that blue GMT hand. And with this watch, you can track 2 time zones. There's not a separate bezel here, and the 24-hour scale is on the dial. Very cool looking ivory dial or cream dial. And then that date wheel is kind of a silver color, black on silver. And then check out this movement. It's a gorgeous looking watch and movement. Grand Seiko does a great job with their finishing. All right, I guess we'll talk about the specs in reverse order then. So this does have a mechanical movement, as I mentioned. And this is a true GMT. So what that means is when you pull the crown out, the first position is hand winding. Pull it out to the next position, and that hour hand will move the local time. You move it forwards and backwards. So the one downside to this style of watch, the true GMT, is you cannot quick set the date. So you would just cycle through that hour hand. So I'll demonstrate here. So going past 12, date changes. Let me know in the comment section which one of these watches is your favorite. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let me move these off to the side. We'll go through these one by one, and I will try to throw each one on wrist. So this is a 39 millimeter diameter watch. Looks great. I'm just not sure I'm going to wear it, so I'm most likely going to be moving this watch on, but anyway. And this is a true genuine crocodile leather strap. Okay, let's go to the SBGN003. Looks kind of similar to the Rolex Explorer 2. Some folks may say it's a homage to that. So again, as I mentioned, this is quartz. It has a high accuracy quartz. And this is also a true GMT. And the nice thing about this is when you pull the crown out, it doesn't, first position, you can adjust your local time, your hour for daylight savings, or again, going to a different time zone, and it won't affect the accuracy because the second hand is still going. There we go. So yeah, very cool watch. Let me get this on wrist. Again, another watch I don't wear that much, so I may be moving this on as well. It's a nice watch to grab and go. But the one thing that annoys me with this is there's no micro adjust. And then also has 19 millimeter lugs. Typically I keep a watch on the bracelet, but it's nice to be able to throw on a strap if I feel like it. And the 19 mil lugs are kind of annoying. Same thing with this watch here too, 19 mil lugs. And this could be a strap monster. Okay, moving on down to the next watch, Zen 105. I like that it has a true GMT rotating bezel, bidirectional, 24 click. I like the splash of orange. But this is a office GMT, and what that means, we'll demonstrate here for you. So it's a screw down crown, so you have to unscrew it. Get out to the first click, so now we're not hand winding. This is the second click, but you can see that GMT hand is moving. Pull it all the way out, then we adjust all the hands, or the GMT time is changing. I guess this is your local time actually, but the GMT hand is moving. So it's not as easy to set your local time when you arrive at a different time zone, or again if you're changing for daylight savings. You kind of have to move everything ahead or behind, and then you can adjust that GMT hand back to your local time, to your home time I should say. Sorry, I don't travel with GMT watches. So push the crown into this second position where I just was. Okay, there we go. Now if I turn counterclockwise, you see the date is moving. Then clockwise, the GMT hand is moving. So not as convenient to use as a GMT watch for traveling, but it is more convenient for changing that date. As long as you remember which way to turn the crown. Some work in different ways than others. So if I was traveling a lot, I would prefer a true GMT, but I don't travel, so a office GMT works just fine. I really don't buy a GMT watch because of that GMT function. I just like the added complication, and I think they look pretty neat. Adds a little bit of splash of color. And here we go, Zen 105 UTC. Oh, the SBGN is also a 39 millimeter watch. This guy here is 39 millimeter. This one is a 41 millimeter watch. He's measuring the bezel. The case is a little bit smaller, but from this view down, 41 millimeter. So it's not a true GMT. It's, you know, fairly expensive. You do get to see the movement in the back. It's not as nicely decorated as that Grand Seiko, and also it has this stamped clasp, and it has an extension, which I really don't care for. And then you get the 3 micro adjusts, but it does look cool. I'll give it that. Okay, now we're going to the Seiko PB223. Again, this is a limited edition. Very nicely finished watch. It's similar, not quite as nice, but similar to a Grand Seiko. This has the automatic mechanical movement, and it is the Seiko 6R64 True GMT. The Zen has a Solita, so it's not even, that's another knock against it. It's not an in-house movement. I don't care, I guess, but maybe I do a little bit for the price. It probably should have an in-house movement, but it is a Solita SW330-2. But this is a cool watch, and check out the movement on here. It is finished, just not as nicely as the Zen or the Grand Seiko, but the rotor does have some finishing on there. And this is 8 beats per second and 45 hours of power reserve. Just a push-pull crown, so in this position here you can hand-wind it. You can see it does have a power reserve right there. So as I'm turning that crown, the power reserve is increasing. Then we have the date down here, then the GMT hand. So again, true GMT, so I'll pull the hand out to the crown out to the first position, and then I'll be able to adjust this hour hand. Very cool feature to just be able to turn that hour hand 1 hour at a time. And then this is a PVD coated stainless steel bezel insert. It's not ceramic. It looks like ceramic, kind of looks like aluminum, but it is, again, stainless steel with a blue PVD coating. It's a little bit thick, though. That's the one thing I have against this watch. Also, it only has 1 micro adjust. And it's a small micro adjust, but you know, I guess with the Grand Seiko finishing, they kind of go after that Grand Seiko lack of micro adjust. This does at least have half links, though. Okay, let me get this on wrist. It's a cool looking watch. I really like it. I like the dial. I like the colorway. Kind of looks like snowflakes, but it's a geometric pattern. So there we go. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and it really does help me out here. Moving on down, we have the Yamaha Superman World Time GMT, and this does have an in-house movement, Yamaha 3000 movement, and that is 8 beats per second and 42 hours of power reserve. It's again an office GMT, not a true GMT, and then this bezel is only 120 click unidirectional. It's not a true GMT bezel that is bidirectional rotating. It has this goofy bezel lock. Unscrew the crown and then you can turn the bezel. I don't really care for that. So let me get this on wrist. Made in France. You can see that down there, 6 o'clock. It says France. All these watches have sapphire crystals. Fortunately, you can't see the movement with this. It's just a solid case back. 300 meters water resistance. The case back has a little bit different name for this. Superman Maxi Dial GMT. And the lugs are really long on this watch, so won't be staying in my collection either. My wristband is 52 millimeter, and then with the way these end links don't articulate, the first link off the end link, I measured this at 60 millimeters, so it does overhang my wrist quite badly. But other than that, it's a cool looking watch. And we do also have a stamped clasp here for micro adjust with a diver extension. So a little bit similar to the Zen 105 in the way the clasp is there. Okay, now we go down to the Zelos. Now this does have a true GMT. It's the Miyota 9075 movement. The dial on this is very gorgeous. I really like the dial on this watch. I like a lot about this watch. And one downside that was pointed out to me I didn't realize at first is there's no minute markers on here. But I can understand why they would do that. It may detract from the beauty of this dial. Ceramic bezel insert, and this is a bi-directional rotating bezel. 48 click. I like the gilt indices with the green. And then you have that green ceramic bezel insert. This has a real nice clasp too. It's on the fly adjustable, very similar to the Tudor T-Fit. This Z here is a little bit sharp though, the Z inside that circle. Another watch in my collection that does not get much wrist time. And that's mainly due to the thickness on this. It is 16, I believe it's 16 millimeter thick. Yeah, 16 millimeter thick. .52 millimeter lug to lug with that male link there. I think it's a 40 millimeter diameter. So let me get this on wrist. I think the website had this listed at 13 or 14 for the thickness, but it's a bit thicker than that. This is probably, I would say, the thickest watch in my collection. Lume's amazing on this, as you can expect from Zelos. I think it wears a little bit big on my wrist though. Okay, now we go down to the Borealis, the Sea Storm. This has the Seiko NH34 GMT movement, which is an office GMT. It's not a true GMT. This watch is a little bit thick as well. It comes in at 14.3 for thickness. It's just a real slab-sided case, so you see all that thickness. It doesn't really hide the thickness that well. The SKX, for example, I think kind of hides some of that thickness with the way the case is curved. And this, you have some separation between the bezel and the case there. One of my favorite watches. When I ordered this watch, I ordered it without the date. Kind of a goofy decision on my part. I think a GMT watch should have a date, but I do like no date watches. And this does not have a GMT bezel, so it's unidirectional, rotating only. 120 click. Quite loud too. Hopefully you can hear that. Do have the Pepsi colorway on the bezel here, and this is a sapphire bezel insert, and it's got a dome to it. Kind of looks like a donut, very similar to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. Move the hands around. It does have the red GMT hand, similar to the Pepsi GMT, which I'm sure they probably modeled the colorway after. This does also have a stamped clasp, and it's the friction fit here. But you do have that safety clasp, signed crown. So let me get this on wrist. Looks a little bit big on my wrist, 41.5. It's not terrible. And the lugs are 48.5, and that is a female end link, so that's appreciated there. Now we move down to the Van Banner, which has the same movement as the Borealis. These are both micro brands. Borealis, you have to pre-order. The Van Banner, you can order right off their website. Sapphire Crystal, the same movement. Both have the solid bracelets. This is a butterfly. $415 for this one, under $300 for that one. And this does have the rotating, bidirectional rotating bezel. It's 48 click, which, I mean, it still works. Give it a little shake. Get that second hand going. I like this blue dial. Typically not a fan of a butterfly clasp. Also, this does have just a push-pull crown, which I prefer. 100 meter water resistance versus 300 on this one. You rotate the hands back for that 10-10 position. There we go. And this does have the data at the 4:30 with it's a black date wheel. It kind of looks color matched because you have the blue dial, but it's a fume dial, meaning it goes from lighter to darker. Kind of a unique looking watch too. Sandblasted finish. So let me get this on wrist. It does have 1.5 links, so you can get it sized pretty much to what you want. I'm wearing it a little bit loose, otherwise it'll be a little bit tight with the adjustment. So it doesn't really have micro adjust per se, at least not on the fly. Or wouldn't be able to adjust it with a toothpick or anything like that if you needed to. And then we'll go down to the cheapest watch in the collection. I don't know if this one was my first GMT or not. I really can't remember which one I bought when. Probably should keep a spreadsheet. So this is just, this is straight up homage. It borrows very heavily from Rolex. This here, all they really did was borrow the colorway and then maybe some of the way it looks off the Blancpain, but it's not a straight up copy or homage. This is basically a copy just with a different logo on it. I don't know where you draw the line at homage or copy. This does have a Chinese movement. I forgot the name of the company that makes the movement, but anyway, regardless, it's the Chinese automatic GMT movement. It's an office GMT, 6 beats per second, 40 hours of power reserve. This is about 1/3 of the price of the Van Banner, but I don't know the robustness or the quality of this movement. Kind of regret buying this watch, but anyway, I'll be selling it on pretty soon. I originally bought this just to kind of get an idea of the size, to see how a Rolex Explorer 2 would look on my wrist. I think it's a little bit big. I prefer the 16570 of the 40 millimeter Explorer 2. The new one is 42, I believe. So again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out here. And as always, thank you for your time and thank you for watching.